So we discussed about meaning, scope and relevance of anthropology. We discussed about relationship of anthropology with other disciplines like social sciences, earth sciences, medical sciences, humanities, life sciences, and one more, behavioral sciences, which is psychology. Then we discussed about different branches of anthropology. What are the different branches of anthropology? The different branches of anthropology are socio-cultural anthropology and biological anthropology. We completed yesterday. Today we will be discussing about linguistic anthropology and archaeological anthropology. Then we will be going to the original subject, which is biological and cultural evolution of man. So we understood about socio-cultural anthropology. What is socio-cultural anthropology? We also written one answer, and we discussed about biological anthropology. Today we will be discussing about linguistic anthropology. Ability to speak is the unique feature of man. Ability to speak is the unique feature of man, and man had one more unique feature which any species on the earth doesn't have, is called as culture. So man is having two specific features which are unique to the man. One is ability to speak. This ability to speak any species on the earth doesn't have. And culture is also very unique to man. So culture is nothing but a way of living. Culture means what? A way of living. How I am living, how I will be living, how I like to be, what is my behavior, how I behave. This all depends upon my culture. This all depends upon my way of living. So that way of living, the culture is represented in the form of language. For example, my culture is represented in the form of language. For example, if I speak bad words, if I speak rashly, you can understand my way of living. If I speak very politely, if I speak very softly, you can understand my way of living. Means what? My way of living is represented in the form of language. My way of living is represented in the form of language, which means the culture is represented in the form of language, which means language and culture both are interrelated. So in anthropology, mainly we will be studying about culture. That means if you want to study about culture, you have to study about language. Hence, the relationship between the language and culture is studied in the subject called as linguistic anthropology. Again, I am repeating. Language is a unique feature of man. Culture is also a unique feature of man. A way of living is a unique feature of man. So man's way of living can be understood by language, which means language is representation of culture, which means culture is manifested in the form of language. That means culture and language are interrelated. So this interrelationship between the culture and language is called as linguistic anthropology. Why? Because anthropology is a subject which studies about culture. And culture is manifested in the form of language. That relationship between language and culture is called as linguistic anthropology. Linguistic anthropology is the subject which talks about the relationship between the language and culture. How culture is manifested in the form of language will be studied in a subject called as linguistic anthropology. Yes or no? What is my culture? Whether you will be judging based upon my language or not. What is my way of living? You can come to conclusion by my language. My language is everything. So there is an interrelationship between the language and culture. That interrelatedness of language and culture is studied in the subject called as linguistic anthropology. Ability to speak is a special feature of man. Speech and language are important aspects of human culture. The linguistic part of anthropology is helpful in understanding, in studying culture. So linguistic anthropology mainly studies about the relationship between language and culture. So we roughగా బయట క్లాస్ అయిపోయిన తర్వాత when you go out in your hostel mess, if someone is asking what you studied today, I studied about linguistic anthropology. What is this linguistic anthropology? Linguistic anthropology is nothing, man. Linguistic anthropology is the relationship between the language and culture. Can you give my one example? What is your culture I can understand by your language? That is called as linguistic anthropology. Study of and first thing is what? First thing is about study of relationship between the language and culture is studied in which subject? Linguistic anthropology. Second, study of evolution and variations of language. Second. Third. Second is what? How language evolved. Evolution of language. Today I am speaking in English language. I am adding grammar to it. I am using vocabulary. I am using word. I am using sentences. So I am framing a sentence and I am delivering. So how all these languages were been evolved? Evolution of language is part of subject of linguistic anthropology. Variations in language. Again, language are not same everywhere. If I am speaking Telugu language, the Telugu language of Telangana, the Telugu language of Northern Andhra, the Telugu language of Coastal Andhra, the Telugu language of Rayalaseema is different. So this variations in language is also studied in which subject? Linguistic anthropology. So what we are going to study in linguistic anthropology, similarly we understood what we studied in socio-culture anthropology, what we studied in biological anthropology, what we are going to study in linguistic anthropology. So linguistic anthropology we are going to study, first one, the relationship between the language and culture. Second, evolution of language. Third, variations of language. Then language studies for the first time, how it evolved, sir? E.B. Taylor, first anthropologist, E.B. Taylor. E.B. Taylor was the first anthropologist who studied about language. And he is the first person who told that in anthropology, you want to study about culture, I know, but if you want to study about culture, first you should learn their language. If I go to Chenchu people and if I want to understand about the Chenchu culture, first I should understand Chenchu language. If I go to Andaman Nicobar and if I go to the tribal community called as Nicobari tribal community, if I want to know about the culture of Nicobari, first I should understand the language of Nicobari. Then I can understand the culture of Nicobari. This was being told by the first anthropologist called as E.B. Taylor. E.B. Taylor was the first anthropologist who studied about language. Del Hyman consolidated language studies in 1960s and he coined a term. He gave a term called as linguistic anthropology. All the language studies were being brought together under one particular sub-branch called as linguistic anthropology. So E.B. Taylor had kick-started the importance of language. E.B. Taylor had started the language studies in anthropology. E.B. Taylor told the importance of language study. And by all this, the next anthropologist, who is called as Del Hyman, came into the picture, and Del Hyman told that all the language studies will be consolidated into one branch of anthropology. That one branch of anthropology is called as linguistic anthropology. Malinowski emphasized on, and third anthropology means who are the people who developed this branch. See, when I am discussing about Constitution of India, it is also one of the branch of any political system. Constitution means a concept. Constitution of India means it's a concept of India. If I talk about Constitution of India, whether without discussing B.R. Ambedkar, without discussing Rajendra Prasad, whether I can move forward, I cannot move forward. Means Constitution of India was being directed, or the chairman of drafting committee of Constitution is B.R. Ambedkar. I will mention, in similarly. So who planned this linguistic anthropology? Who devised this linguistic anthropology? Who are the people responsible for the growth of linguistic anthropology? First person is E.B. Taylor. Second person is Del Hyman. Third person is Malinowski. When you want to study about the cultures of tribal societies, I told you, whenever I use the word tribal societies, which means the another word for tribal society is what? Simple society. If you want to study about simple societies, If you want to study about simple societies, if you want to study about tribal societies, if you want to understand about primitive societies, first learn their language. Who told this? Malinowski. So, three people are responsible for the growth of linguistic anthropology. One is E.B. Diller, second is Delhaiman, third is Malinowski. To understand the thought process and organization of human mind, it is expressed in language. Thought process. To understand how he is living. What is the thought process? What he is thinking? What is his way of living? This all we can come to conclusion by studying what? Language. What is the main intention of linguistic anthropology? The main intention of linguistic anthropology is understanding way of living. If I want to understand way of living means first I should analyze their language. If I want to analyze their language means what is a thought process which has been kick-started. For example, I will tell you. Just for example. In Gulf countries, you will understand easily, so I will be taking repeatedly marriage examples. In Gulf countries, if I am Gulf man, if I want to get married, if I tell like this, me, my father's brother's daughter, I can marry. A thought, this is language which I used. What I told? Language. So this language has triggered a thought process in your mind. How he will marry? She will become sister? No, it got triggered in your mind. So how this thought process came in your mind? Because of language. So language will trigger what? A thought. A language will trigger what? A way of living. A language will trigger what? How these people are living. That much important is language. This is studied in which subject? Linguistic anthropology. To understand the thought process and organization of human mind as it expressed in organization of human mind. My human mind will not accept. How he will do marriage, man? She will become sister? No. Organization of human mind. How my human mind is organized. My human mind is organized in such a way that a man cannot marry his sister. A thought has been triggered. How he can marry his sister? It is impossible. It triggered. How this all thought process, how it got developed? Because I told through my mouth, I delivered a language that this person is going to marry his father's brother's daughter. So this language had triggered thought. This language had triggered how this people's mind has been organized. These all things will happen by studying language. This language studies is part of which branch? Linguistic anthropology. Here what we will study? We will study about relationship between language and culture. Relationship between language and culture. Linguistic anthropology, the culture is represented in the form of language. Language is manifestation of what? Culture. For example, if I am multiple times I am using inshallah, then you will come to conclusion what is my culture, yes or no? Without telling also. If I use word Jai Shri Ram, without telling any word you can come to conclusion what is my culture. So there is a relationship between language and culture. That is studied in linguistic anthropology. Linguistic variations, what are variations? There are variations are there. Randi, Idra. Both are calling them only, but there is differences. If you talk about Hindi, there is difference in Bhojpuri Hindi. There is difference in North Delhi Hindi. There is difference in South Delhi Hindi. There is Haryanvi Hindi. There are various variations of one language which is called as Hindi. That is also studied in linguistic anthropology. The way human languages evolved. How humans learn and relate their language to one another, use of language to understand various aspects of culture. Various aspects of culture will be understood by language. For example, I will tell you, how much ever English you learn, you are part of one village in India. America you went, every country you visited, you got a very good English language, but your birthplace is one village where you have some village god. and your village god festival will happen, that is your culture, and every 1 year you will be coming to that particular village to celebrate your village god festival, village deity festival, that is your culture. How much ever you know English, if you want to explain about your village deities festival, you can explain properly in your mother tongue or in English language. Mother tongue. The cultural things will be represented in the form of local languages only. So culture is manifested in the form of language. That is also being studied under linguistic anthropology. Helps in understanding continuity of culture and insights into culture of simple societies. Useful in understanding the structures of how the structures are there, how people are there. For example, night 11 o'clock, blanket is there on you and you are watching mobile phone. Suddenly your mother's voice you heard, language came. Suddenly you will throw phone and you will sleep. Means a language has triggered a thought. Without any saying also, a action will be delivered. Why? Because a language is coming out. Yes, that means what? A language. For example, if I tell, for your understanding I am telling you, if I use the word brother, a thought will trigger in your mind. If I use word brother-in-law, a thought will trigger in you. If I word use sister, a thought will trigger in your mind. If I word use sister-in-law, a thought will be triggered in your mind. That much important is language. A thought is getting triggered because of language. That every word is having a meaning. Words are part of language. This is studied in which subject? Linguistic anthropology. For example, nowadays it became a style that I am depression. I got depression. I got depressed. I didn't clear the prelims because of which I got depressed. He is not telling that I didn't study it, so I didn't clear it. I didn't clear it. I didn't clear the prelims, so I got depression. Depression word is there in English language, hence you are feeling depression. If depression word is not there, there is nothing called as depression. Depression word is there, hence there is a thought called as, are you getting my point? If there is no word called as depression, then there is no concept called as depression. Means what? The words, the languages are triggering a thought process. This is studied in which subject? Linguistic anthropology. So, linguistic anthropology mainly studies about what? Relationship between culture and language. How culture, how language are related to each other is part of linguistic anthropology. In this, what we will understand? The culture is represented in the form of language. How the language evolved. What are the variations in languages? How language will trigger the culture. How language will trigger a thought process. These all are studied in which subject? Linguistic anthropology. Who are the anthropologists responsible for the growth of branch called as linguistic anthropology? E.B. Taylor, Del Hyman, Malinowski. Write about archaeological anthropology. This you have to write. It is in detail we will be studying in unit number 7 of paper 1. Archaeological anthropology. You have to understand this. There is something called as archaeology. దేవి పుత్రుడు సినిమా చూసారా? వెంకటేష్ ఏంటి? ఆర్కియాలజిస్ట్ కదా. దేవి పుత్రుడు ఇట్స్ ఎ మూవీ ఇన్ విచ్ వెంకటేష్ ఇస్ అన్ ఆర్కియాలజిస్ట్. ద్వారకా లోపలికి వెళ్ళిస్తాడు. Mohenjo-daro movie is there. Mohenjo-daro Hrithik Roshan. It also studies about what? Indus Valley civilization. These all are parts of what? Archaeology. What is archaeology, sir? Archaeology studies about material remains. Archaeology studies about material remains. By studying material remains, I will understand about the culture. Archaeology is all about studying material remains. By analyzing this material remains, I will come to a conclusion what is their culture. For example, Indus Valley civilization, we got some seals. We got a material remain like a seal. Seal, stamp untai kada, seal. We got a material remains like seal, S-E-A-L-S. Then I started analyzing this seal. What might be it? Then I came to a conclusion that, there might be some trade. So in order to have a legal trade, there might be some Rajmudra. There might be some seal. So if seals are there means trade is there. Trade happened. So with whom trade happened? Mesopotamian civilization trade happened. Aztec civilization trade happened from Indus Valley. Just I got seal, a material remain. A material remain, and I analyzed this material remain. By analysis of this material remain, I came to a conclusion that there was a trade. There was ships. There was boat. There is lothal. There is a dockyard. So all these things came into existence. How the people used to live. What is their culture. These all conclusions how I made? Just because of seal which I got as an evidence. Archaeology studies about material remains. By analyzing material remains, I will be studying the cultures. Now you see, what is this? Archaeological anthropology. I told you anthropology means study of man. In study of man means what? It is biological study of man, cultural study of man. Archaeology means culture study of man. So anthropology duty is studying the cultures of man. How I am studying the cultures of man? By using which evidence? Archaeological evidences. By using which evidences? Archaeological evidences. It is a study of what? Antiquities, old things, and the past, that studies material objects, material remains, material objects. These are what? Materials, material objects, as means of describing and explaining human behavior and origin, growth and development of human culture. Anthropology means study of cultures. Study of biological evolution of man, study of cultural evolution of man. Anyhow, this part is not biological evolution, cultural evolution. So how archaeology is responsible study of culture, archaeologists will be studying about material remains and I will be analyzing the material remains. When I am analyzing the material remains, I will come to the conclusion that yes, this is the culture. For example, that person is having 1100 phone, and he don't know about more than 1100 phone, Nokia 1100 phone. This person is having advanced mobile phone, he know about all the advancements. I got this material remain, he both left the class after 8 o'clock. I got this mobile phone 1100 from there, and I got advanced phone from here. Then what type of conclusion I will make in my mind? There is a primitive man in the class still using 1100. There is a tech savvy is there who is using advanced variety of mobile phone. So by material remain, whether I made judgment without talking to him, whether I made a judgment. So archaeology also will make the judgment with respect to culture by analyzing what? Cultural remains. So analyzing the cultural remains or material remains and understanding the culture is which subject? Archaeological anthropology. Archaeology means what? Studying material remains is called as archaeology. By studying material remains and coming to conclusion with respect to culture is called as archaeological anthropology. See, what all we will be studying in this? Number one, it can reconstruct human culture from material remains. It can reconstruct human culture from material remains. I got one sharp pen. I am digging, I am doing archaeological excavations. I got this only. I took this. So I went deeper up to 700 meters. I know that 700 meters means somewhere around 2000 years ago. So in 2000 years ago, they used this. What is this? It is a pen, it is a knife, or it is a pointer to catch fish. I start analyzing it. So means I am trying to reconstruct the history. I am trying to reconstruct the history by material remains is part of archaeological anthropology. Are you getting my point? You became IPS officer. You are a Goa, Panji, Goa capital city, you are DCP, Deputy Commissioner of Police. You are a DCP sir. So you got the phone call that there is a dead body available on the beach of Goa. You went there and you did the DNA check. Some blood stains were been there on the body. Or the dead body is carrying some pen. And you took the pen. And on the pen you started finding the DNAs. Then you come to the conclusion is that two DNAs are there. So one DNA belongs to the dead body, another DNA belongs to the murderer. Means material is sufficient to find the murderer, to solve the crime scene. Similarly, we used to study the archaeological evidences to study cultures. Reconstruct human cultures from material remains. As well as it is also intended to study socio-cultural affairs of man in ancient times during prehistory. Means what is their way of living, how they are living together, whether all huts are available. When I did excavations, for example, Indus Valley Civilization, when we did excavation, what we got? A great bath. Indus Valley Civilization, when we do excavation, what we got? Great bath. From that great bath, what we concluded? There was a swimming pool. Means, oh, these people used to live in swimming pools. So they might be having lavish life. Some torches came under there. What is the torches? Street lights. Street lights are there. Urban way of living is there. Some canals were being found. Or canals were being found. Drainage system was there. So what way of living is? Urban way of living. So I am reconstructing how their social living was there, how their cultural living was there. That is part of archaeological anthropology. Are mostly found in, and one more thing I got. Whenever the archaeologists used to do excavations, all the evidences in the earth's crust, they used to get on the river banks. Then they came to conclusion that man evolved in river banks. Then what he did? Wherever the river bank is there, he started doing archaeological excavations. Wherever he is doing archaeological excavations, he is getting some evidences. From these evidences, he is decoding how they used to live. So archaeological evidences, archaeological studies made me to understand that the people used to live where? River banks. How I got to know? By archaeological anthropology. Various tool implements, pottery utensils, ornaments are found depending on the stage of culture. Chronology, I used to get what I used to go deeper, older, what I used to get on the top, recent. So chronology also I used to understand. So archaeological anthropology will make me to understand about how the prehistory was there, cultural reconstruction, understanding how the evolution happened, where the cultural evolution happened, where the people used to live in river banks, analyzing pottery from which we used to come, how the evolutions happened. These all are being part of which study? Archaeological anthropology. Today we are proud of Indus Valley Civilization. Indus Valley Civilization is part of what? Archaeological anthropology. We came to conclusion in 1500 BC itself, we have urban civilization, Indus Valley Civilization. How we came to know this? By archaeological anthropology. Presence of sickle indicating crop cultivation. What we got? Sickle. Kodavali. We got sickle like this. When I got the sickle, which is very rough, rudimentary, which is deeper, then I took the sickle, Kodavali. Then what I will come to conclusion? Oh, sickle is there means they used to go for harvest. Why they will go for harvest? They used to do for cultivation. If they are doing cultivation means what? They used to depend upon agriculture. They used to depend on agriculture means they are not hunter-gatherers. They are food cultivators. So man became food cultivator. Man is harvesting the crops. Means he developed or he not developed? Developed. So from the evidences which we got, we used to analyze at what stage of development these people were been there. That is part of which study? Archaeological anthropology. On the basis of archaeological anthropology, the socio-cultural life of people of prehistory was being found. It studies the climatic and ecological aspects of ancient times. We can know the climatic patterns of remote past. For example, people will tell that Indus Valley civilization was been expired or was been removed by the floods of Indus. How we came to know? In the earth, every part there is a huge amount of wet elements were been there. So there was a very big water. Everywhere water was there. Means what? There might be floods. Means I understood climatic pattern of Indus Valley civilization 1500 years back by doing excavations. Today, that is what? Archaeological anthropology enables the discipline of anthropology to study human past in holistic manner as it deals with prehistoric times. So, archaeological anthropology will help me to understand the cultures of prehistory in holistic manner. Means what? What is their social way of living? What is their cultural way of living? What is their climatic pattern? What is their geography? What is their environment? These all things I used to understand just by a single evidence of archaeology. Hence, archaeological anthropology. Hence, there are 4 branches of anthropology. First one is socio-cultural anthropology, biological anthropology, linguistic anthropology, archaeological anthropology. So, up to now, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 is about basics. I gave you an overview of what is socio-cultural anthropology, what is linguistic anthropology, what is biological anthropology, what is archaeological anthropology. I also explained about the relationship of anthropology with social science, with behavioral science, with medical science, with life science, with earth science, and with humanities. I also discussed about what is the meaning of anthropology, what is the scope of anthropology, how the anthropology had been developed. Now we will see PYQ. First question. No, just example, Kranti. Example, Kranti. Mesopotamia only. Anthropology is a systematic, objective, and holistic study of mankind in times and places. Elaborate on the argument. 2022 question. PYQ. They are asking this type of question. Anthropology is a systematic, objective, and holistic study of mankind in times and places. Means you should write about the meaning is meaning of anthropology, scope of anthropology, development of anthropology. What is the keyword? Elaborate means take one example and write. Then which example you will write? For example, in anthropology, we will be studying the material remains. When we study the material remains, we will understand their society, their culture, their geography, their way of living, their economic system, their political systems. Each and every aspect we can understand. Hence, anthropology is a multidisciplinary in nature. Ala rastana. Second question, scope and relevance of socio-culture. Yesterday we written this. See, scope and relevance of socio-cultural anthropology 2023 question. How we should write for such questions? Intro. What is socio-cultural anthropology? I would write. Anthropology is the study of man holistically. In one of the branch of anthropology is socio-cultural anthropology. Socio-cultural anthropology mainly deals about social and cultural aspects of man, in which we emphasize upon economy, polity, ecological and behavioral aspects. Then side heading is scope. Then side heading is relevance. Then is conclusion. Only one thing you have to remember. Means 4 parts are there in this answer. 5 parts are there in this answer. First part. What is socio-cultural anthropology? Second part. What is scope? Third part. Relevance. Fourth part. Combination of socio-cultural anthropology. Fifth. Conclusion. 5 paragraphs. 5 side headings. It is general studies question paper or optional question paper. You have to identify the side headings. From these answers, how many side headings I can draw? More the side headings, more the content. Elaborate the scope of anthropology and elucidate its uniqueness in the field of other social sciences. Tell me. Scope of anthropology, 1. And relationship with social science. Which science? Social science means what? Sociology. Biocultural approach. Next unit it is. How can synergizing the core branches of anthropology reinvigorate the holistic spirit of discipline? Core branches of, how many core branches of anthropology are there? 4. Socio-cultural anthropology, biological anthropology, linguistic anthropology, anthropology. I am going into the original part of the syllabus now. Up to now it is only introduction. What is anthropology? What is meaning of anthropology? What is the scope of anthropology? What is the relationship of anthropology with other disciplines, etc., etc. 1.4 onwards, syllabus. Human evolution and emergence of man. Whenever I talk human evolution, actually evolution is the term coined by Herbert Spencer. Herbert Spencer is an anthropologist who coined the term called as evolution. So what is evolution of man? What is human evolution? Human evolution is a combination of 2. One is biological evolution and cultural evolution. Whether we just evolved or we are also wearing dress, we are also having economic systems, we are having also political systems, means what? We are biological. How much we are biological, that much we are cultural. So human evolution is never biological. Human evolution is biological plus culture. So in this unit, we are going to discuss about how biological evolution happened, how cultural evolution happened. And Herbert Spencer want to tell that biological evolution led to cultural evolution led to biological evolution. How I will prove? So this concept is named as biocultural feedback. This concept is called as what? Biocultural feedback by Sherwood L. Washburn. So Sherwood L. Washburn told that yes, human evolution is biological evolution and cultural evolution. And biological evolution will be responsible for cultural evolution will be responsible for biological evolution. How I will prove? By one flow chart. See, for every unit there will be some problem. For every unit there will be one challenge. This is also mathematics only. This is also science. Science lo emuntadi? Problem untadi. A problem solve cheyali. Mathematics lo what it will be there? There will be a problem. You have to solve the problem. Here what is the problem? Human evolution. What is the challenge? Human evolution is biological evolution and cultural evolution. And what is the challenge? Biological evolution led to cultural evolution led to biological evolution. LHS is equal to RHS, RHS is equal to LHS. And biological evolution led to cultural evolution led to biological evolution. If I prove, hence prove. Means biological evolution is responsible for cultural evolution. In the body, whatever all the changes which are happening in my body is also responsible for change in my way of living. What are all the changes which are happening in my way of living is also responsible for changes which are happening in my body. So biological evolution and cultural evolution both are interrelated. Hence, this biological and cultural together is called as human evolution. How? Human evolution and emergence of man. Biological and cultural factors in human evolution. We are going to discuss 1.4a in your syllabus copy by one flow chart. I need to survive. Man birth happened. We don't know how. That also we will discuss later. Man birth happened. When man birth happened, he want to eat something for his survival. He don't know what to eat. Then first what he thought is animals are there to eat. So first he adopted what? Hunting. Hunting is what? A way of living. A way of living is what? Culture. So first form of culture which evolved is what? Hunting. Culture is what? Way of living. So the challenge is how culture hunting is responsible for biological evolution. How hunting is responsible for biological evolution. How biological evolution is responsible for cultural evolution. Now you see. First I need to hunt. I am doing hunt. Hunt is meat. Meat eating. Because of meat eating, what is happening? Creation of new condition. Meat will be very solid. When it is very solid, what will happen? I have to chew more. Increase in size of mandible. Why? Because there is more pressure. Theory of use and disuse. If I am using more, it will develop more. So I am using more. So mandible will develop. When mandible chewing, when chewing is happening, there is a pressure on brain also. There is a theory of use and disuse. Whatever we use more, we develop more. If you study more, you will develop more. If you don't study, you will not develop. If you use brain, your brain will develop. That is the theory of use and disuse. So we are using mandible. Mandible. There is also pressure on brain. I am using more. So there is pressure on brain. Theory of use. I am using more, so brain size is increasing. Because I am using more. Why I am using? Chewing. See here. Hunting. Chewing. So there is pressure on brain. Remember this. Hunting. Male activity. Male are strong, so male are going for hunting. And they divided. Male, I will go for hunting. Female, I will stay at home. Then what? So we need to go for hunting. Then male people, what they did? They are making a plan, chalking a new plan. They want to kill an animal. So whether they can go and randomly go and kill, or they have to make a plan. Make a plan. Chalking of new plan. Spelling mistake. CHALK. Chalking of new plan. When you are making new plan, you will think more or you will think less. When you are making a new plan, you will think more or you will think less. You will think more. When you think more, there will be pressure on brain or not. When you think more, there will be pressure on brain. Why? Because you are using your brain. Chalking of new plans. Because hunting became very complicated. Animals were not available. Because hunting became complicated affair in due course of time. So what I did, I chalking of new plan. So I am thinking. So there is pressure on brain. Pressure on brain. I am thinking means there will be pressure on brain. Now, hunting. When I am going for hunting, I am searching for big animals. Why? Because if I kill big animal, I can eat for 5 days. Big hunt. Big animals in the universe will be less. The big animals in the world will be less. Small animals will be more in the world. That is the general reasoning. So he is going for big hunt. Why? Because if he hunt once, he can eat for 5 days. So he is searching for big animals. Big animals number will be less. Small animals number will be more. That is the nature of law of nature. So he is in search of animals. When he's going for hunting, he will be in search of animals. He's in search of animals. He's going. He's going for animals. New land, new water, new waterfalls. When we go in searching, whether we will see new things. So those new things got shocked. In my area, these all things are not there. From where these waterfalls came, from where these new trees came, from where these new animals came, there is a pressure on brain. Why? Because there is a shock. I don't see these waterfalls in my area. I don't see these animals in my area. I don't see this much big trees. Whether there will be shock? Shock means what? Pressure on brain. For big hunt, had to cover wide territory. When he's covering wide territory, he will come across new experiences, new areas, new water, new animals. Hence, there will be pressure. So, by three ways, there is pressure on brain. One is because of big hunting, new areas, shock. He is chalking new plan. When he is making new plan, he have to think more. When he is thinking more, so there will be pressure on brain. When he is achieving more, there will be pressure on brain. So when there is a pressure on brain, because of this all reasons, the brain size is increasing. When there is increasing, the brain size is increasing. Why? Because we are overusing brain. Our biceps will grow when we go to gym. Why biceps will grow? Because we are using more. We are overusing. As we are overusing, it is developing more. Similarly, when we are overusing, the brain will develop. So, brain is present where? In cranium. The brain is present in cranium. So, this is cranium. The brain is present in cranium. Inside, brain size has been increased. So, cranium size also will increase. Inside, brain size has been increased. Cranium size also will increase. Accepted? Now what happened? Baby used to come from birth canal. Baby used to come from birth canal. When the mother is pregnant, when she is having delivery pains, and the baby used to come from birth canal. Now what happened? There is increased size of the brain. There is something called as, there is theory of inheritance of acquired characters. So brain size increased. Husband brain size also increased. This increased brain size both fused together, and in the newborn baby also the brain size has been increased. Earlier what happened? The birth canal was narrow. So baby used to come. Why? Because baby's head is also narrow. But now what happened? Mother's brain increased, father's brain increased. So from both it entered into the child. Now the child's head is also increased. Now this increased brain is not coming out from the birth canal. This increased head is not coming out from birth canal. When she is delivering, then the baby is forcing to come out. Then what happened? The pelvis region increased. The hip region increased. The birth canal, which was narrow, became wider. When the birth canal became wider, birth canal will not become wider easily, no. The hip region will become broadened. The pelvis region became broadened. When hip region and pelvis region became broadened, she cannot be active as man. She cannot be active as man. Why? Because her hip region and her pelvis region are broader. She is not that much active as man. Why? Because man, hip region and pelvis region is what? Straight. But that is not the case with female. Now you see. Narrow birth canal. Due to anatomical modification for head posture, pressure on brain. Expansion of frontal lobe of brain. Expansion of brain. Expansion of head. Difficulty in delivery. Head size of brain also increased. So difficulty in delivery. Modification of female body occurred. Nature selection. Now baby cannot come. Baby is forcing to come out, but the birth canal is narrow. So birth canal should become broad. The birth canal to be broadened, morphological differences between male and female. Eventually physiological and behavioral changes in male and female. So she cannot go out. So she told that you go outside and you take care about all what we eat. I will be staying at home and I will be taking care about the infant. See here, difficulty in delivery. So baby came out, prolonged infancy. The mother should take care about infant. Emergence of mother-child bonding. With emergence of mother-child bonding, reduced female mobility, she cannot go. She need to take care about the baby. And she cannot go out. Why? Because her body became soft. Reduced female mobility. And up to now, she used to mate randomly. Up to now, she used to mate randomly. But now she understood that I should not mate randomly. Why? Because after my pregnancy, I cannot move faster. I cannot move easy outside. I have to take care about the infant. Why? Because infant is coming out from me. So I want a male partner who take care about me after my pregnancy. So now what she is doing? She is not mating randomly. She is selecting. She is selecting. She is selecting whom? She is selecting who should become partner. So that partner should take care when she is pregnant. She needs positive support from male partner. Sexual selection of male. Development of sexual selection of male. And she selected. And he is taking care about her. So a novel bond developed between male and female. Cooperation between male and female. Introduction of division of labor. So there is an understanding. You go out for hunting, I will do gathering here. So hence a culture evolved which is called as marriage. Marriage customs and regulations. Marriage is culture or what? See here, this hunting led to increase in brain size, biological evolution. This biological evolution led to a culture called as marriage. So how a way of living called as hunting is responsible for biological changes, how biological changes are responsible for a culture called as marriage. There is male hunting, female child and food gathering. A marriage evolved which is called as marriage. This is also culture. Male will do this, female will do this. Rules and regulations is called as culture. Culture got evolved because of biological changes. Biological changes evolved because of culture. So culture is responsible for biological changes. Biological changes are responsible for cultural change. Hence, human evolution is not just biological evolution or not just cultural evolution. It is interrelationship between biological and cultural evolution. How hunting is responsible for increase in pelvis region and hip region of mother. How hunting is responsible for increase in size of the head. Means hunting is culture, way of living, led to biological change. How this biological change to evolution of marriage, evolution of division of labor. Division of labor and marriage is culture or what? Culture. So hunting, culture change to biological change led to cultural change. Hence called as biocultural evolution. Hence called as biocultural evolution. Same thing. The evolution term is coined by whom? Herbert Spencer. Human evolution relates to two separable yet interdependent processes, namely one biological and Chudaniki, one is biological, other is cultural. Two are separable yet interdependent. Two are separate, biological and cultural, yet both are interdependent. Hence there is evolution. Hence evolution term is coined by Herbert Spencer. Once some Australopithecines began to develop dependence on culture for survival, a new dimension was added to their biological evolution, which is called as cultural evolution. There was definite relationship between culture and biology, which Sherwood L. Washburn called it as biocultural feedback. Taking feedback from biology, culture is evolving. Taking feedback from culture, biology is evolving. Taking feedback from biology, culture. Culture, biology. Culture, biology. Hence, today also, social media, computer, culture, people are becoming weak. People are bending. There's a high chance that the people might become subjected to some transformation in their body. Biological change. This biological change is because of culture. So how culture is changing? Biology is changing. How biology is changing? Culture is changing. Biology influenced by culture and culture influenced by biology. This interplay between biological change and cultural change account for why human beings became so different from others. This is explained by the above flowchart, how hunting evolved in the expansion of brain, eventually into marriage. Hunting is responsible for increase in the size of head. Increase in the size of the head is responsible for evolution of marriage. In the same lines, one example I took of hunting and I proved how hunting is responsible for increasing the head size and how increasing the head size is responsible for marriage. Means what? Marriage is because of increase in head size. It's not because of any other. So marriage came because of what? Marriage came because there is increase in head size. If the head size was not increased, then there would not be a concept called as marriage. If head is not increased, there is no concept called as marriage. Marriage is because of increase in head size. Means biology is responsible for culture. Invention and utilization of fire led to more biological and cultural evolution. It is through cultural achievement man has become the first species on the earth to guide his own evolution. Now you see here another example. It is there in your telegram also. See. Just tell me yes or no. It is only PDF, no printout. It is in PDF that you should write. Write in your notes this one. If it is not visible, it is there in your telegram. Now you see. Invention of fire. Already I am doing what? Hunting. Fire. So what I am doing now? Cooking. Cooked food, because fire. Fire is not there, there is no cooked food. When I am eating cooked food, means fire came. When fire is there, people started living near the campfire to make their body warm. They are sitting for more time. When they are sitting for more time, more communication. They used to spend much of their time at campfire, campsite, because of which brought the people close to each other. When people talk, communication will be there. When communication is there, people will become closer. As well as I am eating which food now? Cooked food. Why? Because we invented what? Fire. Reduction in parasitic infections. Raw food, parasites. Now no raw food. Why? Because we are cooking. Why? Because we discovered, we invented fire. Avoidance of meat of carnivorous as well as reduction of parasitic infections. Then what happened? Soft food. When I am eating soft food, there is changes in digestive system. So man started becoming soft. When man started becoming soft, that roughness started going away. When the roughness started going away, he is becoming more manly. Means he is becoming more like today's man. He is becoming more like Homo sapiens. So we became soft. We became more Homo sapiens because of discovery, invention of fire. Fire, cooked food. Because of fire, cooked food. Because of cooked food, flesh become soft. When meat became soft, less strain on jaws. When there is less strain on jaws, mandible size reduced. Mandible size reduced. Now you see, when my mandible size is more, you cannot understand whether I am laughing or crying. No social expression when this is this much large. No social connection because expressions are not able to recognize because mandible is huge. Now what happened? The meat became soft. Why? Because I am eating which food? Cooked food. So there is no stress on jaws, mandible. So mandible slowly becoming soft. So mandible went inside. When mandible went inside, he is crying or he is laughing, we can identify social connection. Reduction in size of jaw and muscles along with the teeth size. Reshaping the counter of human face. Skull counter was. The shape has been changed. Biology or culture this is? Biology, social this is. Face. Biology got changed because of invention of. How fire is responsible for change in face. Because the stress on the mandible has been reduced. So what happened? The face became softer. Biological evolution. When face became softer, expressions were clearly visible. Social living started. Cultural. Fire culture. Because of fire, face became softer. When face means biology. Biological evolution. When face became softer, light, communication increased. Cultural. So cultural, biological, cultural. Similarly, fire increased length of day work. Why? Because in the night also I can work. Increased day work. Keeping the predators away. Warming the body in excessive. More evolution. More population. More survival. So culture is responsible for biological, responsible for cultural. Eventually people are able to survive more. Population is increasing. Population is increasing means nothing but evolution. So how fire is responsible for biological change, how fire is responsible for cultural change also. You can take the example of hunting. This is extra. Yes or no? Any doubts up to now? Who will explain me about biological and cultural evolution? Venkatesh. Yes. Srinivas. Generally, Venkatesh and Srinivas names will be there. So I used. So no Venkatesh here. No Srinivas. No meeting and Srinivas పేరు ఉన్న వాళ్ళందరూ ఒక సదస్సు పెట్టుకున్నారు. శ్రీనివాస్ వెల్ఫేర్ అసోసియేషన్. శ్రీనివాస్ పేర్లు చాలా ఎక్కువ ఉంటాయి కదా. ఎస్. No. Mm. Yes. Louder, little bit.
Biology is affected by culture. So we can see that when man evolved, he first went up to hunting. Due to this hunting, there were some organic changes in his body. Due to the organic changes, there was the development of brain. Due to the development of brain,
So there was hunting, meat eating, meat is rough. So over chewing, pressure on jaw, pressure on mandible led to pressure on brain led to increase in size of head. Increase in the size of head, whereby the body is having narrow birth canal, but this through narrow birth canal, the baby would not come out. So the birth canal became broader. In order to make the birth canal broader, the pelvis region became enlarged, the hip region became enlarged. When her hip region and pelvis region enlarged, she became soft. When she became soft, she cannot go for hunting. Hence, there is a division of labor. Hence, male for hunting, female for gathering. Parallelly, what happened? She understood that she need to take care about the infant. So when I am unable to go for hunting, I want the support of male partner. So up to now, she was mating randomly. Now she stopped mating randomly. Now she started selecting the male. Why? Because when she is pregnant and when she delivers, there is a need for male support. Hence, she started selecting the mate. Hence, a novel bond started developing between the male and female. Why? Because she selected. So that novel bond between male and female led to a very good relationship between the male and female, which led to marriage, customs and regulation. So how hunting led to change in the structure of the head, and eventually how the female body became softer, how eventually led to culture called as marriage. Fire. మీరు చెప్పండి. ఇవే షటర్. How fire is responsible for biological change and cultural change. Fire, cooked food, softer food, less pressure on the jaw and mandible. So mandible became light, soft. So when mandible and the face became normal, soft, biological change. With this, social expressions were being found, communication increased, social living happened. Social living is called as culture. The face became softer, means what? Biological evolution. So fire is responsible for biological evolution and eventually led to cultural evolution. Next, so in 1.4 unit, we have 3 subunits. First subunit is called as biological and cultural evolution. How biological evolution responsible for cultural evolution? How cultural evolution responsible for biological evolution? 1.4b, we deals about organic evolution. It is called as organic evolution. How evolution happened organically, means life. Darwin is the man, Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin is the man who explained about how evolution happened. Charles Darwin is the man who explained about how evolution happened. Organic means what? Life. How life evolution happened, which is called as organic evolution. Organic evolution was being given by Darwin, which is standard. So before him, there are some evolutionary theories which are being given by before Darwin, which are called as pre-Darwinian theory. After Darwin, post-Darwinian theories. Darwin is standard. Why? Because Charles Darwin is the person, he explained how evolution happened. What type of evolution? Organic evolution. What is organic evolution? Life evolution. What is life? It can be plant, it can be animal, it can be microorganism, it can be human being. So about organic evolution, for the first time in detailed explanation was been given by whom? Charles Darwin. So whenever we talk with respect to organic evolution, that means we are talking with respect to Charles Darwin. So before Darwin, how we believed evolution happened. After Darwin, how we believed evolution happened. Thus we will be studying in 1.4b, which is called as theories of organic evolution. For example, independence. If I want to understand about independence, first I should understand before independence how the life was there. What happened before independence, hence pre-independence. If I understand the pre-independence, then I understand independence. Okay, we got independence. After independence, how we are living? Pre-independence, independence, post-independence. How evolution happened? Evolution means organic evolution. Organic evolution means evolution of life. Evolution of life where plants, animals, microorganisms, human beings. First theory with respect to organic evolution, evolution of life on the earth was being given by Charles Darwin, which is standard. But before him also several people discussed about how the evolution happened, which is called as pre-Darwinian theory. Then Darwin discussed about how evolution happened, hence called as Darwinian theory. After Darwin also several thinkers gave how evolution happened, which is called as in 1.4a, we discussed about how biological evolution led to cultural evolution, how cultural evolution led to biological evolution. 1.4b, we will be discussing how organic evolution happened, how life evolved according to Charles Darwin. Before him, what was the theories? After him, what was the theories? What he told. So what is evolution, sir? Evolution is nothing but a descent with a modification. Evolution means what? Descent with modification. For example, how you evolved in anthropology. Today, what knowledge you have? Tomorrow, what knowledge you have? Day after tomorrow, what knowledge you have? You are gaining knowledge, which means you are evolving. There is a genetical structure for my father, there is a genetical structure for my mother. Both combined together, so I evolved. Descent means next generation. Next generation with modification. If same genes, if I get, then I will suffering with genetical disease. But there should be some change. So hence called as modification. Change, descent with modification. Next generation with modification is called as evolution. నిన్న ఎలా ఉన్నావో ఈ రోజు అలానే ఉన్నావు అనుకోండి, దాని ఎవల్యూషన్ అంటారా? ఎవల్యూషన్ గ్రోత్ ఆగిపోయినట్టే. నిన్న ఇలా ఉన్నాను, ఈ రోజు ఇలా ఉన్నాను అంటే దాని అర్థం ఏంటి? ఎవల్యూషన్. సో ఎవల్యూషన్ ఇస్ నథింగ్ బట్ డిసెంట్ విత్ మోడిఫికేషన్. నెక్స్ట్ జనరేషన్ విత్ modification. You are X. You want your children to be X or X minus 1 or X plus 1? X plus 1. So descent with modification. Descent is what? X. You are X and your next generation should be X plus 1. That is called as what? Evolution. You are X. Your children is also X. You will not get that much happiness. You are X and he is worst. X minus 1. Then you will be crying. You are X and your children is X plus 1. Descent with modification. Hence there is evolution. Descent with modification is called as evolution. According to Charles Darwin, evolution is modification in the gene pool. Next generation, if there is a change, genetical changes, it is called as evolution. Evolution is descent with modification, whereas for Hardy-Weinberg, evolution is because of changes in the gene pool. So, next generation genetical structure, if there is a change. For example, my father is X, my mother is Y. So, if I am getting X plus Y, so some modification happened, it became X plus Y plus 1. Change, a new thing, a new evolution, a new feature. It can be IQ, it can be immune system, strong immune system. It can be good smart looks, it can be anything. That is called as evolution. Descent with modification, change in the gene pool, addition in the gene pool is called as evolution. So, how evolution happened was a very big question. ఎవల్యూషన్ ఎలా జరిగింది అనేది పెద్ద క్వశ్చన్. దీనికి ఆన్సర్ ఎవరు చెప్పారు? చార్ల్స్ డార్విన్ టోల్డ్. Whether Charles Darwin told, before him no one told, yes, it is called as pre-Darwinian theories. After Darwin no one told, yes, post-Darwinian theory. Hence we are going to have pre-Darwinian, Darwinian, post-Darwinian theories. What is evolution? Organic evolution is a process. It's a process. It is irreversible. You tell me, we are quadrupedal, then we became knuckle walker, then we became bipedal, then we became erect posture. It's a process. It took 5 million years ago. 5 million years ago means 50 lakhs years ago. Now you tell me whether I can go back to knuckle walking, whether I can become quadrupedal. No, we don't know. Evolution is whether you can go to 9th class again, whether you will go to 8th class again. After clearing exam, again you want to write mains, again you want to write prelims. No, evolution is irreversible. It's a process. Yesterday, today, evolution or not? Yesterday date was 11, today is 12. One added or decreased? Added. Whether you want to go 11 or you want to go to 13. You want to go to 13. Evolution is a process. Again we can go to 11. No, irreversible. Evolution is irreversible. Evolution is process. Evolution is in discrete direction, definite direction. Quadrupedal, knuckle walking, bipedal, erect posture, or some changes will happen, but again we will not go back. Why, sir? Because the changes happened with the changes in the environment. If I want to go back as it is, then the environment also should change in the same sequence. But the environment is in our hands or it is not in our hands. It is not in our hands. Hence, we cannot have the same environment. Hence, we cannot have the same reverse direction. So, hence, the evolution will be in a definite direction. Third, organic progress or rising to the upper level of biological evolution. Evolution is what? We evolve. Yesterday, you don't know the meaning of organic evolution. Today, you know the meaning of organic evolution. Yesterday, you don't know who is Charles Darwin. Today, you are going to know who is Charles Darwin. Means progress. Evolution is progress and deprogress. Progress. So, evolution are three things. Number one, evolution is a process. Evolution is irreversible. Evolution happens in a definite direction. Evolution is a progress thing. Day by day we will evolve. That is called as evolution. So to understand evolution, we need to understand from three perspectives. One is called as pre-Darwinian, Darwinian, post-Darwinian. You got UPSC rank. I want to know about your evolution. Means I should know before you got rank. I want to know how you got rank. I want to know how you are behaving after rank. Then I can understand your evolution properly. Yes or no? Similarly, organic evolution, explained about Darwin. Before him, no one. Yes, pre-Darwinian, Darwinian. After Darwin, no one. Yes, post-Darwin. Then I will understand evolution properly. Which evolution? Organic evolution. What is organic evolution? Life. Evolution of life. Last. Clear? So first I will explain about pre-Darwinian theories. Darwin standard. Before Darwin, who? After Darwin, who? Pre-Darwinian theories. Before Darwin, how many theories were been there? There were been 5 theories. First one is mythological theories, which you know. God gave. Hindu believe this. Muslims believe this. Christian believe this. First we used to believe that. Hence first story is mythological theories. India, the evolution is from Panchabhuta. China is from fire. Egypt is from sun god. For them, sun is god, sun god. Before Darwin, we used to believe in mythological stories. That is also one of the theory only, no? Biblical theories, Bhagavad Gita story, Quran what is telling. These all are called as what? Mythological stories of evolution of life. India believed in Panchabhuta. Egypt believed in sun god. China believed evolution is because of fire. Then second, theory of special creation by Father Suresh, not Suresh. It is not Suresh. Father Suresh. Not Suresh, not Ramesh. It is Father Suresh. Biblical story. According to him, as per biblical story, the evolution happened in 6 days. First matter, second atoms and sun, third fire and water, fourth oceans, fifth plants and animals, sixth man. Second theory was very popular, which is called as theory of special creation in 6 days by Father Suresh. Suresh theory, second. First one is mythological stories. Second one is Father Suresh. 6 days according to biblical stories. Third, George Cuvier. According to George Cuvier, what he told? According to him, catastrophes are common phenomenon of nature. Catastrophes are common phenomenon of nature. Catastrophes will happen. Earthquakes, cyclones, volcanoes, disasters are common. Catastrophes are common. Wherever the catastrophe happened, man started running from affected area to unaffected area. He is running from affected area to unaffected area. So unaffected area, evolution. Again catastrophe. Again he came. Again here, evolution. According to George Cuvier. These all are not scientific. Before Darwin. Darwin is scientific. Before Darwin, these are the initial theories. Fourth, theory of heredity and evolution by Maupertus. Theory of heredity and evolution. He is the first man. Somewhere around 19th century, 1840s, he told, some things are coming from father, some things are coming from mother, both are getting fused, hence a newborn baby is coming. They don't, at that time science was not there, no. They don't know how she is becoming pregnant. These all things were been not there. But they believed that there are some things which are coming from father, there are some things which are coming from mother, both are getting fused, and the next it is called as evolution, which is called as theory of heredity and evolution by Maupertus. First person who believed that some factors would transfer from mother side and father side, which fuse together and results in the inheritance, which we call it as evolution. Because of the environmental change. So father side, mother side. Sometimes there would be change if there is change in environment. Becoming science little bit. Some things are coming from father, some things are coming from mother. Means little bit science is there. Slowly, time is going on. As time is going on, whether we are becoming more scientific or not. Like that we reached where? Darwin. So first is what? Mythological theories. Second is special theory of special creation by Suresh. Third, catastrophism by George Cuvier. Fourth, theory of heredity and evolution by Maupertus. Fifth, now science. Lamarck theory. He is the first person who coined the term called as biology. He is the person who coined the term called as biology. So biology, the term was been not coined by Aristotle, it is coined by Lamarck. He is the first person who told that there is some cells. He is the first person who told there are some cells in our body. The cells are responsible for complete human organism. He gave his doctrine in his book called as Philosophy Jollaki. His theory is called as Theory of Inheritance of. See. Next big theory, a big revelation in the process of understanding how the evolution happened. మనం ఎలా ఎవాల్వ్ అయ్యామో చదువుతున్నామన్నమాట. మనం ఎలా ఎవాల్వ్ అయ్యాలో చదువుతున్న దాంట్లో డార్విన్ అనే మనిషి ఒక సైంటిఫిక్ అబ్జర్వేషన్ ఇచ్చాడు. అతనికన్నా ముందు కొందరు ఇచ్చారు. వాళ్ళని ఏమంటాం మనం? ప్రీ డార్వినియన్ థియరీస్ అన్నాడు. ఇన్ దట్ ద స్టాండర్డ్ ఈస్ లామార్క్. And Lamarck is the person who coined the term called as biology. Lamarck is remarkable. Why? Because he discovered cells. Lamarck is the person who told that human body is made up of cells. Yes or no? True. And he written the book called as Philosophy Jollaki, where he gave his theory, his famous theory called as Theory of Inheritance of. One example I will tell you. Giraffe neck was like us. Giraffe neck was like us. The bottom leaves got exhausted because of eating. The most important for any species on the earth is what? Survival. The biggest problem, the biggest challenge, we are sitting here for what? Survival. Giraffe ate all the leaves which are at the bottom. Now it is unable to catch the leaves which are in the middle. Pressure, theory of use and disuse, pressure, environmental pressure. So its neck becoming long, so that it can catch all the leaves on the top. So the neck became long. What giraffe acquired? What giraffe acquired? Long neck. Why it acquired a long neck? For its survival. Theory of inheritance of acquired characters. What giraffe acquired? Long neck. Mother giraffe, father giraffe. Now mother is having a baby giraffe in her stomach. The long neck which is there for mother, the long neck which is there for father. Now the baby giraffe in the mother's womb is also having long neck. What is acquired is inherited. Very big shock. Theory of inheritance of acquired character. So long neck it became. Now the same long neck is also found in the giraffe's womb. The newborn baby giraffe is also having what? Long neck. Means what it got acquired is inherited into the next generation. That is a very big revelation given by Lamarck, which is called as Theory of Inheritance of Acquired Character. Theory of use and disuse. Who? Lamarck. He gave some postulates. First postulate is what? Theory of use and disuse. If you use more, it will develop more. If you don't use more, it will not develop. For example, the development of an organ is directly proportional to its use. Continuous use strengthens its organ. Kiwi bird. Initially, it used to fly. When the predator is coming, the kiwi bird used to get fear and it used to fly. Environmental change happened. The predator became extinct. No one is coming near kiwi to catch kiwi. When no one is coming near kiwi to catch kiwi, there is no requirement of flying. So there is no use of wings. There is no use of flying. Slowly, it forgotten about flying. Eventually, it never flied. It never used, so it not developed. When we use, it gets developed. Flightlessness of kiwi New Zealand. Initially, this bird used to fly, but because of absence of enemies, predator, they led peaceful life without flying. Now, it doesn't know about flying, but once upon a time they used to. Theory of use and disuse. Lamarck told. Second, theory of environmental pressure and environmental demand. Environmental pressure leads to formation of new organs. Change in environment leads to evolution of new characters. For example, environmental demand. Plant will grow in fertile soil. Fertile soil is good environment. Good environment demand good growth. So plants will grow in good environment. Environmental demand. So there is growth. Fertile soil, good seed. Infertile soil, seed. It will not grow. Not good environment, so it cannot grow. Means if environmental pressure is there, it will grow. If environmental pressure is not there, it will not grow. That is called as theory of environmental pressure and environmental demand. Plant growth in infertile soil will be weak, whereas plant growth in fertile soil will be healthy. The difference is due to change in environment. If I am having skill, if I get supportive environment, then I will grow. Environmental demand. Environment is supporting me, so I will also grow. If I am having skill, but my environment is completely negative, there is no environmental demand for my growth. There is no environmental pressure for my growth. But because my environment is negative, whether I will grow? No. So second theory. Theory of environmental demand. Wherever there is environmental demand, there it will happen. The fertile soil is environmental demand, hence it will grow. The infertile soil, there is no environmental demand, hence it will not grow. As someone told, deer will be running 2 times faster than cheetah. There is an environmental demand to run more, then only it can survive. There is no environmental demand for cheetah to run more than deer. Why? Because if this animal, that animal. But deer should run fast. If not, it will die. So there is environmental demand for cheetah, there is environmental demand for deer to run faster than cheetah. Hence, deer is running faster than because of environmental demand. You are preparing for UPSC. You need to think fast. You need to understand fast. You should be logical. No, sir, I am dumb. I cannot think more. I cannot think out of the box. Then you will not evolve. Why? Because environmental demand is you should be fast. You should be deciding. You should be logical. If you don't have IQ also, you need to develop IQ. Why? Because it is the environmental demand. Then only you will evolve. If you don't want to evolve, then there is no talking about environment. So there will be environmental demand, hence there will be evolution. Theory of Ellen White, simple. This is criticized. Theory of Ellen White, it's a Greek word which is called as increase in size. According to Lamarck, in the process of evolution, according to theory of Ellen White of Lamarck, in the process of evolution, every species on the earth will have a tendency to increase its size. Any species on the earth will have the tendency to increase its size. That is another theory another postulate which is given by Lamarck. అంటే జనరల్గా దేని సైజ్ అయినా పెరుగుతుంది అని అంటాడు థర్డ్ పోస్టులేట్. Internal forces of life tend to increase the size of organism by growth of organs and systems. According to Lamarck, the general tendency in evolution is incremental growth. For example, a seed grows as a tall tree. Dinosaur also became very big. Why? Because of theory called as Ellen White. Fourth, most important, theory of Inheritance of acquired character. It acquired, hence pumped into the next generation. What we acquire will be pumped into the next generation. That is the reason relatives will tell your father is intelligent, you also born intelligent. Your mother is beautiful, you also born beautiful. Your father is dumb, you also dumb. Theory of inheritance of acquired characters. You looks to be same as mother. Theory of inheritance of acquired characters. Without any scientific observation, he gave a theory which is valid today also. Somewhere in 1850 he gave. Without any knowledge of blood, without any knowledge of chromosomes, without any knowledge of genetics, nothing was there. At that time he told, there are some things which are being acquired which will be pumped into the next generation. Today also undeniably accepted, yes, what we acquire will be pumped into the next generation. For example, giraffe. Characters developed by the living creatures during their lifetime in response to the environmental changes are called as acquired characters. All changes acquired during the lifetime are transmitted to the next generation. This is called as theory of inheritance of acquired characters. For example, long neck of giraffe. These 5 theories are called as pre-Darwinian theories. First one, mythological theories. Second one, Suresh theory. Third one, George Cuvier theory. Fourth one, Maupertus. Fifth one, Lamarck. How many postulates are there in Lamarck? 4. Number 1, theory of use and disuse. Second one, environmental demand and environmental pressure. Third one, Ellen White. Fourth one, criticism. Many ferns and coniferous trees which became extinct today were gigantic trees once upon a time. According to you, you told we have to criticize also, no? What are the criticism? Criticism is, according to you, any species will increase its size. Why? Because there will be general tendency increase of size. Then today dinosaurs should not extinct. Dinosaur size should be big. Many ferns and conifers today they became extinct, but they should not extinct. They should become more big. We are 6 feet in 5 million years ago. Today also we are 6 feet in 5. Today also we are 6 feet. Our size also should increase. Hence criticized. Evolution is not size. More highly evolved flowering plants are much smaller in size. Example, coral reefs. Beautiful coral reefs will be there in oceans. Within 1 square meter, there will be 1 lakh species coral reefs. So evolution is not size. Evolution is more diversified. Hence criticized. Third, there is an environmental demand. I want to fly. There is an environmental demand. Sometimes I think when in the traffic, suddenly if some engine is there beneath me, just I will on it and I will go and I will. There is a demand for flying. But whether we are flying? But he told if there is an environmental demand, there will be a new organ. Flight of man is not possible, though he has desire to do so. Criticized. Finally, changes in the environment will lead to new needs. New needs will lead to creation of new structures. Change in environment lead to new needs. New needs lead to new structures or organs or new species. These are about pre-Darwinian theories. Any doubts? Today we discussed about linguistic anthropology, archaeological anthropology, then human evolution, which is called as biological and cultural evolution by a flowchart. Then we understood about Darwinian theories, which were pre-Darwinian, Darwinian and post-Darwinian in the theory of organic evolution. So before Darwin it is called as pre-Darwinian. Pre-Darwinian are how many? 5. What are those? Mythological theories, Suresh theory. First Suresh theory, then Ramesh theory, then Xavier, George Xavier, Moaporitus and Lamarck. What is the question which I gave today? Explain the biological changes. It's a PYQ. 10 marker means 2 pages. 15 marker means 3 pages. 1 to 1 side. 20 marker means 4 pages. But 2 pages inko page chipkovali. Should be kalpi ivali ma. Explain the biological changes that made human beings capable of making culture. Explain the biological changes that made human beings capable of making culture. First you should understand, this question is about human evolution, 1.4a. Biological evolution and cultural evolution mainly talks about human evolution. Human evolution is a combination of biological and cultural. The evolution term was been introduction. Evolution term was been given by Herbert Spencer. Evolution is nothing but combination of biological evolution and cultural evolution. Then, explain the biological changes that made humans capable of making culture. So, how human evolution is responsible for cultural evolution. How biological evolution is capable of cultural evolution. Keep side heading, make one flowchart, then you address the answer. The same flowchart you need to explain. Final conclusion, hence biological evolution is responsible for cultural evolution. Cultural evolution is responsible for biological evolution, which has been called by Sherwood L. Washburn as biocultural feedback. Flowchart explanation. So, first, human evolution is a combination of biological and cultural evolution. Hence, evolution is a coined term by side heading, biological and cultural evolution. Then you will draw one flowchart. Explanation of flowchart, 3rd page. Then 4th page you will write about how this biological and cultural evolution is responsible for human evolution.